getting better. Two dudes watch whatever they want. 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 Yeah.
Welcome back to another bonus episode of Two Dudes Watch Whatever We Want. We're not watching cartoons this time, although you could almost make a case. I almost made the argument that we could just put this out on the flagship. But my name is Evan. I never know how to intro all of our bonus.
You don't know
moments.
how to introduce yourself?
It throws me off because I don't say the normal thing.
That's Evan, and I'm Alex. And today, by Evan's cryptic teaser he's giving you, we are covering Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm sure we'll be talking about 1 and 2 at different points, though. But we are covering the brand new James Gunn movie. Now, in all honesty, we're probably covering this more so for James Gunn than anyone else. Because this is his last Marvel movie.
That's true.
This is like such because Marvel is at whatever point it is at. You can argue good, bad, not the same, whatever. But to me, this is an indication of more so James Gunn and like how he's going to handle the DCU. Would you agree? Like, you get what I'm getting at?
Yes. Phase 4 has been pretty hit or miss.
Maybe this should be DCEulogy.
There's also a case for that. Should I play the theme song real quick?
No,
Yeah. Phase 4 has definitely been hit or miss, but
this is
to James Gunn's credit, maybe not the MCU's credit, he delivers a pretty stellar movie. Where do the ratings have it? I think you sent me something the other day, but I don't.
Yeah, we can pull those up. But so, Evan, I saw this movie a while ago, and I went through a phase for about a week, and you were spared, my friend, because you had not seen it. I went through about a week where I was just looking at Twitter, Reddit. All I could talk about was this fucking movie. And some of my friends know I was probably annoying about it. Like even Nikki, who didn't see the movie with me, I'm talking to her ear off about it.
Yeah.
I'm getting your first impressions now. What you said pretty stellar. What did you think?
I saw this last night.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a really well done, entertaining movie. You know how I always say about Rick and Morty that sometimes like the dialogue patterns become like a little bit of a white noise to me.
Yeah.
James Gunn's dialogue, just because I've seen, I've watched Suicide Squad a couple times pretty recently. We got Peacemaker, and so his dialogue is almost approaching that zone for me. But
okay.
I mean, it's still very good. It's not always my cup of tea. At points, this movie can be very James Gunny, if that makes sense. But
sure.
But it works for a lot of people, and the critics receive it well. That might be my one gripe with this movie. But overall, really enjoyed it.
At time. Okay, interesting. This is not the response I expected from you, because you've been a pretty harsh Marvel critic.
Yeah.
So they finally deliver on something, and you're just like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. That's where I landed with it.
I was blown away by this movie, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
It recontextualizes Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 in a way that only took me I had to rewatch them. I couldn't shut up about this movie, so I rewatched 1 and 2 after seeing this movie. And I think I can say this now. Before it was Captain America, I think this is my favorite Marvel trilogy now.
Oh, okay. Very high praise. And maybe this is where I just land with these characters. I don't know that I might have seen Guardians of the Galaxy 1 like once or twice.
I think I saw it with you.
Maybe. But I definitely haven't gone back to see 2. Like when I watched them, they're good movies. They're entertaining. I've never cared to go back.
2 to me was like entertaining, but I had it almost felt incomplete. And I think that's what this third one really wrapped up on a very nice bow end. Because upon rewatching 2, I enjoyed it way more. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense to me. There's scenes in 2 where they visit Earth again, and you're seeing Peter's grandpa. And you're like, well, this has no payoff. Why on earth are we spending any time with him? Now it makes sense because it was always about a story of Peter running away from, his responsibilities and his family and his grandpa, essentially.
Which, was it 2013, the first Guardians of the Galaxy
13
came?
or 14, yeah.
So it's been about a decade. And that's maybe part of it for me is like, it's been so long since I've seen some of these movies.
To me, what Marvel was first really good at was their writing with their Easter eggs were like really long and planned out things. And I feel like that is what James Gunn has really encapsulated from the beginning. Remember in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when they all get arrested and they do those body scans? They literally have Rocket's name, like the test subject 891, like the exact same. They have his associates. It's Lila and Groot. Those are his only two associates. Like, there is so much that James Gunn really had planned out like 10 years ago, like you said.
Yeah. For me, two was an okay movie. I enjoyed it, but I don't really remember anything from it.
You should rewatch it. I really think after seeing 3, it makes it so much better. So 2 ends, the very last scene, if you recall, Yondu dies, and they're not going to throw him a Ravenger's funeral because he broke the code, but then they found out he actually didn't, so they are doing the fireworks at the end, and Rocket is an emotional mess. He's like, they're still doing it for him, even though he was a jerk to all his friends and he failed all the time? Like, and he's like talking about himself, and 2 literally ends with Rocket crying and the reflection of the fireworks in the sky, and he's bawling, and that is the last shot of 2. It is such a sneaky... Rocket was always the main character, the main story that he was telling, and it was just on the back burners almost, because Peter Quill has like an ego, and he's like, I'm the main character. It's good. It was it's really strong, and I told someone this before. If someone, before this movie was like, oh, who's your favorite Marvel character? Rocket, honestly, unironically, would have been one of them, but it felt like such a weird answer that I never said that. You know what I mean? Because people would be like, what? Rocket? So I'd be like, oh, it's Captain America, or like, what I mean? So but like, I love Rocket, and this movie finally made me be like, no, I think he's my favorite character. He's so complex. He's really well done, and he's animated. This is how we're talking about it. He's CGI, baby. Him and Groot.
All right, let me play the flagship theme song.
We got all 3 intros in one podcast.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, like, I think what this movie does really well is it brings the main story, the main plot around Rocket feels like it makes the stakes so micro, but so
it's
huge.
All emotional stakes.
It's all emotional stakes.
It's not we need to save the universe or the galaxy like every other Marvel movie somehow ends up being. Even Shang-Chi, his origin story was like, we need to save the world. This was, we need to save our best friend.
Yeah. Which I really enjoyed. Yeah. And
it's so different. No Marvel movie's done that.
Yeah.
We need to save Wakanda. We need to save the city of the gods from Gore. We need to, you know what I mean? It's always save the world.
Yeah. And so we've pretty much been alluding to it, but Volume 3 is very much about Rocket Raccoon, which is a little bit of not kind of a spoiler, but it is confirmed.
That was such a great moment too. Yeah, he's always been Rocket Raccoon, but he, in all the other movies and in all, not to just keep calling back to the other movies, he always gets mad when someone calls him a raccoon because he doesn't understand that, but he also always gets upset when someone is laughing at him. And it's a direct callback to the High Evolutionary laughing in his face when he's like, well, we're going to paradise too, right? He's like, you idiot. No. And that's why anytime he's like, why are you laughing at me? He does it several times in 1 and 2. It's so good. I have not seen writing like this in a Marvel movie in a long time. It makes me really excited for James Gunn handling the DCU, honestly.
Yeah. Should we go by character? I don't know, but
probably character is the easiest way to go.
The High Evolutionary is a weird one to start with. I just wanted to call out this actor, Chukwudi Iwuji. I wanted to call it out because this actor is from Peacemaker. He was
It took me a while to connect it, but man, I've heard I've actually heard a little mixed reviews. So a couple people were not super high on him. High Evolution. I thought he was one of the best Marvel villains, like probably since Loki and Thanos. Like he to me was so complex and so good. When Gamora is explaining him to the group, she's listing off all the races and like people that he's created. And she's like, there are corners of the universe that consider this man God. And it's like, whoa, that, like, I don't know, like the scale of that, like, and the Sovereign, he created that whole race that was like the main antagonist of the second movie.
Yeah.
He's their God. Like, I don't know, it's interesting to me. He's a really interesting character that I would love to see in other properties, honestly.
Since I haven't gone back to watch Volume 2, were the Sovereign that dumb in Volume 2? Okay.
Yes, they were.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, were they always this stupid? I thought they were like the perfect breed of people, but they are kind of stupid and don't, like in a Drax way, sometimes don't understand everything. You know what I mean? And Adam Warlock, someone pointed out to me, he's young. He's a child. Like he was just born. So he's only like a couple months old in reality.
Gotcha. What did we think of Will Poulter as Adam Warlock?
Highs and lows. I think it was maybe the character writing. I think he killed everything that he did, but some of the writing, like you said to me, felt a little James Gunny. He did have one of the highlights of the movie, though. He falls in love with that little space dog creature thing, and Gamora grabs it and holds a knife to its throat, and she goes, "Don't move, or this weird thing gets it." He goes, "Don't be rash." Like he was like so angry just a moment ago, and I was like, "That's classic."
Okay, I'm looking it up now. I wasn't sure if that animal was also the one that we saw in Shang-Chi, but the one in Shang-Chi doesn't have a face. It's just this weird fuzzy thing with wings.
Yeah, similar. And I don't think it was furry.
I just had to go
Maybe
back and double check for my own sake.
Yeah. Here's a question, because I've had a lot of our friends do this before we keep diving into the main characters. Where does this rank post-Endgame movies for you?
Oh, man.
Would Eternals be your number one?
Eternals would probably be number one.
Still, and you think Eternals is better than this then?
I think, what else has come out since then? Yeah. These are both.
I mean, the tops are generally like Eternals, Spider-Man, and now people are saying this. And I know you have your gripes with Spider-Man.
I hated. I mean,
you
I didn't hate it. It was fine. But
it
was
fine.
Just fine. It was not that good. People fucking calm your boners
I mean,
down.
think of the other ones like Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Wakanda Forever.
I'd probably go Eternals, Wakanda Forever, and this is probably up there. Yeah, I'll give you
this. This for me is my favorite project post Endgame.
Yeah.
It's this than Eternals.
It's just such a breath of fresh air because it does feel like there's a voice to it. You can really, to my detriment, you can really feel James Gunn's voice. But no, I do enjoy his stuff. It's just like sometimes like
I know what you mean.
Constant bickering scenes. It's like,
I recently watched Rick and Morty, so I know exactly what you mean. And I do think the most recent season actually laid off a bit of your recent complaint. But I totally get what you mean. It's some of the space nonsense, mumbo jumbo, like the Nathan Fillion scenes where they're in there.
No, I think those are entertaining. For me, it's and maybe it's because I just saw, a couple months ago, the holiday special, which was like a lot of Drax and
Mantis,
like bickering. And then like there was a lot of that similar dialogue of like them. There were several conversations in this movie about how Drax is so dumb, and it's like, I get it. We don't need to we spend when they're in the house on the planet, him laying down on the couch. Like, come on. Or it's like, okay, this is funny, but let's keep it moving. Also, don't hate me. I was pretty jet lagged. I didn't have any coffee yesterday. I watched it. It was pretty late. It was like 8 p.m.
You're gonna say you fell asleep.
I wasn't fully conscious for some of the Orgo Corp stuff. I drifted in and out. But I only missed a little bit.
This one though, and so I think for me the strongest part about it is it's all emotional stakes. Like I said, it's all driven by the heart of this movie. And so Rocket. They get there's Will Poulter comes in to get Rocket for the High Evolutionary, who considers him proprietary info, and he gets hurt What's interesting to me is he actually gets hurt by them not fully understanding what Rocket is, because he doesn't talk about it like at all. He's a robot a lot on the inside. So when they use that medical pack on him, it like short circuits him and he's going to die. And I feel before the movie was out, people were speculating because it was about Rocket that he was going to die. When the movie opened with him like on death's door, I was like, oh, he's not going to die. He's going to be fine. Right?
Yeah. Would I have enjoyed it more if we lost one of the Guardians? I think so. That would have.
So this is my hot take. I feel once again, it was teased because Dave Bautista's like, I'm done. Gamora's like, I'm done. No, Zoe Saldana, sorry. They're like, we're done. This is our last movie. There's people who were like, I don't know, I'd do it without James Gunn even. I feel like the death was almost the easy way out, and people were expecting that. Okay. This subverted my expectations in a positive way for once. The ending was so uplifting and such good closure while still leaving the door technically open for more of them in the Marvel universe.
It would have been interesting to see them go Rogue One with it, but I do like that James Gunn gives each of these characters their own happy ending, which is especially. I think Drax was maybe my favorite.
Drax got me. I cried. Did you cry at all during this movie?
I did not.
I cried 3 times, Evan. I cried alone at a matinee movie at 11 a.m. 3 separate times. I was like, "What is going on?" This movie really got me. I was hook, line, and sinker. The reason I wanted a podcast about it is I was like, we're both going to be like, best Marvel movie ever.
It's very good.
And you're just coming in here, even Steven, it's driving me nuts.
It's very good. I will give you that. I'm not trying to knock it whatsoever.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to be even keeled about it.
That's fine. That's fine. We said we were going to do this an hour ago. Let's go through the characters. Do you want to start with Peter? Yeah, it feels right. Let's start with Peter.
It felt like a weird note to start with him being drunk because they don't really revisit that whatsoever. Like in the first scene,
he's totally lost without Gamora. Well, it's even worse than her being dead, I think, is her being there but not knowing who he is. It's actually like the worst case scenario. He had closure almost when she was dead. You know what I mean?
So there's the scene in the elevator where he jokes about it.
The music.
Great choices.
I think James Gunn kills it with this music. Creep, the acoustic version, the opening, Rocket, Raccoon listening to that. I was like, oh, what a... James Gunn, right from the jump, I was like, you're on to something here, dude.
He knows how to pull the heartstrings. He's very good at scoring his films. He's using like popular songs, but it's not like how the Mario movie did it. Does that make sense? Yeah, he uses like 70s, 80s songs.
But the Mario movie was using old hits too, but it was like not... His have like emotional stakes and feels. And what I really like is it's usually actually the characters listening to music. I find that really fascinating. And I'm just going all over the place because I love this movie. There's a theme throughout all of them that like human art and music is like next level. Like even the High Evolutionary mentions it. That's why he bases Counter Earth on Earth. That's like a nod to like, all of them in the galaxy end up loving human music, which I think is so funny.
I hadn't picked up on that, but no.
I have the luxury of I watched all 3 of them, so I did it in reverse order.
Central
now that I'm thinking about it. I'm sorry. I watched 3 in theaters, and then I was like, oh man, I should rewatch 2. And I watched 2, and I was like, man, I gotta rewatch 1 now.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I don't know that I'll go back to watch any
You should
of the
at least do
Guardians
2,
movies.
if I'm being honest. At least do 2.
All right.
Not right away, but it makes 2 so much better in my opinion.
Okay.
And that's not easy to do because now it makes sense to me that it is the middle of like a longer story because it kind of felt that way, but I didn't know how to describe it at the time. You know what I mean?
It felt like once you watched it, it was like, okay, whatever, that happened.
Yes. But now that we've had closure with these characters, it all makes a lot more sense why everyone's doing everything. If that it's good. It's really good.
So Peter Quill, he's torn up about Gamora.
Drunk as a skunk.
Drunk as a skunk. But that was the thing. That was like our first shot of him. And then
it's impactful.
Him being drunk thing. I don't know. It just felt like a note that wasn't really paid off. Like he didn't have to be. Like, his emotional arc with Gamora was probably going to play out the same way. Like, I don't know. It was an odd
You've
choice.
ever been heartbroken, my friend? You find you drown your sorrows with the bottle. That's like a typical trope.
I understand that trope and that story, like that angle, but it just felt like, I don't know. It felt like it was gonna kick off like a Fat Thor thing.
Well, I'm glad it didn't
just
go
felt
that way.
like Fat Thor. That's his emotional arc, and then like you see him work through it. Like I don't think we needed to see Peter Quill. I'm going on too long about this. It was just like it was a
You're clutching your pearls. This was great opening. I loved it.
I thought
And
it
he's
was
mad
fine.
You wrote it. Don't touch my Zune. I love that it's a Zune and not an iPod too. I don't know why that makes it so much more classic to me.
Do you think they'll bring back Zunes because of this movie?
I think they did. They did a release of a new Zune online.
That's fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And there's like part of me that's like, oh, I should get that. I would use it. And then I instantly like, no, that's literally what my iPhone is made for. It was an iPod and a phone combined. I got to remind myself. Peter, though, wakes up drunk as a skunk. And like I said, he's in the pits, though, because Gamora from 2014, 13 has jumped to the future, and she just lives in this timeline. And what I love about this, him and Gamora, what would it not have just been the easy route for James Gunn to try to like fix this
Get 'em back
somehow,
together.
get them back together, anyway, her get some memory through the stream of consciousness and the power of love? Would that not be the easy route, the easy Marvel thing to do?
Yeah.
But James Gunn takes this because this is not him who wrote Gamora coming back. Gamora was dead, and now he's just got to deal with her
dictated to him. Yeah,
it was dictated to him, and I think he handles it beautifully because I really think that it was just I almost felt like it was coming, if that makes sense. They're gonna fall in love again somehow, and I was so happy it didn't, though, because like that's fucking real.
Yeah, it brings back the sort of will they, won't they that was there in the first movie.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
It brings you back to that. He handles that dance, that delicate dance between them very nicely.
And in the end, she tries to say something to comfort him because you got to think like she's like, I don't know you, dude. I have no idea who you are. You talk of these memories. That didn't happen to me, whether you say it did or didn't. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I like her comforting words for him at the end. It was just like, I bet we were fun. She's like, I have no idea about that time at all, but our short time together, I can't
the door
envision us
open.
together, but wow, what a whirlwind that probably was.
Yeah.
It's good. It says a lot with a little word.
Here's my question for you. Was Gamora and Nebula greeting each other with grunts also there from the previous two movies?
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that, but I love that little bit. That was so...
Like, why?
That was so great. It's so good. But I like that she's still in contact with Nebula because she knows her sister from all... Like, it's very realistic. She's like, well, I'm going to talk to Nebula. Like, I know Nebula. Dude, I don't know you.
Nebula had a pretty prominent role. Was she part of the gang in 2?
She is hunting her sister in 2, so it's where she joins them. And then in Infinity War, she's with them all.
Gotcha.
Nebula's arc and story is wildly fascinating, and it really mirrors a lot of Rocket's stuff.
Yes.
The being put back together and built part, and it is really cute that they are the only two that survived the blip, and they spent those 5 years together, so they are much closer than a lot of the other Guardians. And so
Gotcha.
when Nebula at the very end, they're like, we're on the ship, where are you? And then Rocket says something. She goes, is that Rocket? Like, she gets emotional, and we don't see that from Nebula, like, ever.
I really like Karen Gillan as an actress. I was a big Doctor Who fan.
She's impressive. Is she British?
Yeah.
Bro, the Brits are just better.
I don't know if she's Irish, but
Across the pond, all of them are better actors. They're so good. They're so good. You watch Tom and Shiv
Scottish.
fight on Succession, and you're like, it's a Brit and Australian, no Americans in sight.
Twitter's been talking about like them and their accents and like pointing out scenes where you can really tell them trying and struggling. And I've started noticing a little bit more of it.
I've noticed once from Shiv. That's it. But it's they're really good. Okay, but so
she's Scottish.
Karen,
for the record.
oh, she's Scottish. That's crazy. I had no idea. So our good buddy Michael O'Rear a while ago told me Nebula was his favorite character in the whole MCU. And I didn't understand it, but I get it now. I get it and I understand it. And I think I can accept it now. But I used to give him shit for that.
Yeah, I liked the emotional bond between her and Rocket. Man, am I just being a hater? I don't know. I'm just... Random things that were funny to me is just like when they're watching the flashback of what happens to Rocket, like through his memory bank or whatever, she goes, "This is worse than anything Thanos did to me." And I was like, "Was it? I don't know."
You need that.
She got pretty fucked up with Thanos.
He created Rocket, though, more so.
Yes.
Like, she was a human. She was a person. She had a mom and dad. He abducted her. He gave this thing life and then left it in a cage and tortured it, and then also emotionally abused it when Rocket knew something that the High Evolutionary did not know. That, honestly, that scene to me was such gold when he was like, "I made you. How did your brain come up with something that my brain couldn't?"
Couldn't, yeah.
But if you were a god, if you were like a true creator, wouldn't that be like the dream, the end goal? Like, wow, my creation has surpassed me.
But he's trying to understand
his
it.
ego was it's such a good, it's so good. And it's, like I said, it's not Rocket and the High Evolutionary battling. It's emotional stakes and understanding and createe sort of, it's Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster creation. I really think this was just like a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah. I think the point I was trying to make with Nebula was there were like moments where the subtlety I think would have hit stronger if like you would have just left it at Nebula tearing up watching what happens to Rocket Raccoon in his surgery or flashback or whatever. I think just leave it at that.
Fine. I agree. Nebula, though, kind of, in my opinion, steps up and is the leader when Peter's a drunken mess, which I think is so interesting because she's obviously the most capable. Like, she's like half human, half robot. I think she's probably one of the strongest of the Guardians. But, well, I think you can make an argument for Groot, too, to be the strongest. But her character development, you never would have pegged her to be the leader. She doesn't like any of these people. So I really like that begrudging sort of leader. Well, obviously it's going to be me because all of the rest of you are useless type of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that because she could easily just bail. She could go hang out with Gamora and the Ravagers, but she's like, "No, I'm a Guardian. We're gonna take care of our people here on Nowhere." And I really love that the team has expanded sort of to like this planet of misfits.
One question I had was when the High Evolutionary ship is starting to leave the planet, and Nebula's like, "We got to get Peter." Why didn't she just fly? She has like jetpack wings. As one of her modifications that she uses against Adam Warlock. And
in the beginning, they got damaged.
Oh,
they got damaged with Warlock. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice try, you plot hole guy. Because she doesn't fly the rest of the movie. Yeah. But ready for this? I'm not one for a miscommunication trope, but I thought it was hilarious. Peter and Groot leaving the ship while they are getting
and
on.
they fall like not off screen, but like in the background.
Oh, so good. Like, that to me is top-notch action comedy. They're like, "We gotta get them," and they're like, "We gotta get out of here." It's great.
Who else is in that? Drax and Mantis?
Drax, to me, like you said, had the sneaky best storyline throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
He loses his wife and child in the beginning, and it is not even a B plot. It's a C plot. It gets mentioned all the time. You know what I mean? And he becomes Drax the Destroyer. And at the end, the one who, his best friend, Mantis, says, "You're not a destroyer. You're a dad." That was so good.
That was nice.
I didn't see it coming from a mile away, but it makes so much goddamn sense.
That's what I was picking up on pretty much as soon as they encountered the whole group of kids. And he's stooping down to talk to them in their language. Yeah. That was really nice.
Do you know James Gunn, because he's prolific on Twitter, do you know what he said Joob Joob stands for?
What?
They kept asking him, "Joob Joob?
No.
Friend?"
That's nice. Yeah.
It's cute.
It's cute. For a Marvel movie that's about a bunch of misfits and they're cursing and swearing. This is a surprisingly emotional movie.
It got me. The High Evolutionary just sort of creating these things and not caring about them. And then also just the contrast of the group is now literally all about caring for each other. Galaxy be damned. Counter Earth be damned. I'm saving Rocket. That's what I've always loved about them, though, is they literally do whatever they want. Man, they are like a D&D campaign. I can't believe I've never thought of this comparison. They are probably the closest to a D&D campaign that Marvel's got.
Yeah. Groot.
Our favorite Vin Diesel voice actor.
Vin Diesel.
The Iron
I
Giant.
don't know, did you ever watch Baby Groot, the series? What happened?
I watched a couple of it. Yeah, okay. They're literally less than.
Do we have to know anything from that?
No. They are shorts. They are like 6 minutes, and I think there's 3 of them, and there's like Groot just doing Baby Groot doing random things. Now, I don't know what to call Guardians of the Galaxy 1 Groot and 3, but what's like your favorite version of Groot? There's like Baby Groot.
The very end.
Same!
Fucking Mega Chad Groot.
Yeah, Buff Groot is what we'll call him. He got cooler. Like movie 1 Groot was cool and probably the most realistic, but Buff Groot was my favorite by far.
Yeah. I hope to see
more. He's
more
like battle tested now. He's like, I think I maybe saw this on Twitter, so I don't want to take credit for it. He is like a product of his environment. So he like is now like a warrior, unlike before. He was a thief before. Now he's like, fuck yeah, let's get him.
Baby Groot / Buff Groot is technically the son of the first Groot.
That's
offspring?
What I have read. Yes,
right,
it's not technically the same Groot. It is his son. Even though I didn't pick up on that. It was like online that told me that.
Okay.
But I think it was a James Gunn thing. He confirmed. He's like, that's not Groot, it's Groot's son.
Yeah.
Whoa. Or it's like a new Groot with new memories. It's like
so it's Gamora.
Yeah, but I really like it. I thought Groot was one that was kind of growing tired on me, but I thought he was used perfectly in this movie. While we're talking about Groot, at the very end, he says, I love you guys. What did you think about this?
I think I'd seen something on Twitter explaining it.
So you already knew?
The same tweet, yeah. But it's a very nice touch if you want to go into it.
I'll give you my play-by-play. He first says it, and I was like, oh, that's cheesy. But then no one reacted. No one like looked at him like, did you just say something? So I was like, oh, we're just hearing a translation. That's interesting. Then James Gunn on Twitter confirmed the audience, much like Gamora, who when you spend enough time and you get close to Groot, you can understand what he's saying. The audience now has spent enough time with Groot that we can understand what he's saying. And I actually thought that was really cute. Once he explained it like that.
Yeah. And it got an audible reaction from the audience. Everyone's like,
yeah. My theater gasped. But like I said, once, like if Peter had looked at him like kind of sideways, like, what? I think that would have ruined the moment. But the fact that it was just, that's what they hear from Groot now. Yeah. I loved it. I actually thought it was really good.
They tee it up with his moment with Gamora, where
they tee it up beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah. So that was it. Yeah, Buff Groot's so cool, man.
When he unwraps his several arms to have a multitude of guns, I was like, Buff Groot's the coolest by far. And he flew.
Wait. I'm not talking about Buff Groot that we see throughout the movie. I'm talking about Final Evolution Groot at the very end, who's like,
where he goes full form, where they're like, expand.
No. It's in one of the end credits scenes, maybe.
Oh, you know what? Evan busted. I left.
You left.
Here's my Marvel hot take. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you why I left, but this was my not final straw, but in this, I had to make this decision. After Endgame, there has been no good. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Excuse me. After Harry Styles in Eternals, there has not been a good or a good post-credit scene, or even one of consequence.
Sure, one of
consequence.
But
also, me and Nikki went to the movie theater at the same time and saw different movies.
Did you see Wakanda Forever in theaters?
Yes. Oh, I forgot that was a post-credit scene. I guess that felt like part of the movie, if I'm being honest. I get what you mean. Yeah, I'll give you that one too. 9 out of 10 post-credit scenes are just pointless now at this point.
Yes.
And they're literally designed to just keep the door open enough for any sort of adventure to happen in the future.
All true. But the final form of Groot looks even more badass.
Then Buff Groot? Well,
Buff Groot.
shoot. Oh, so Buff Groot is who I like Buff Groot, but you're saying there's a new one.
There's an even
and he's bigger.
buffer Groot.
Even buffer Groot.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen that one in action. You're just going purely aesthetic then.
Yeah, he's not in the scene at first. They're all hanging out like the new group of Guardians.
My God, I just looked it up.
It's tight, dude.
He's huge.
Yeah. And you see the next iteration of the Guardians that Rocket is leading.
I read about it. About it. But so Nikki had saw a different movie and she got out like an hour before mine did. And so I was feeling kind of bad that she was waiting for me. So I was like, okay. I was like, screw the post-credit scene.
Yeah. What did you search to find it?
I just usually search Guardians of the Galaxy 3 post-credit scene, and there's someone who's wrote about it, and I just read it, what it is.
No, I meant to find the new...
Oh, I said post-credit scene Groot.
Okay. All right.
What? It worked.
I just wasn't able to pull it up.
I don't have an image. It's a video, and I'm just looking at the thumbnail of the video, and he's huge.
Oh,
he looks sick. He looks like a combination of 3 and 1.
Yes. Massive. But it's such a cool moment where it's like they're just sitting against this boulder, you think, and then they have to like go into action.
Oh, and it's Groot.
And it's Groot. He unfurls. It's really cool. But the second post-credit scene probably would have pissed you off. It's Peter Quill sitting at the breakfast table with his grandpa eating cereal, and then I don't even remember what he says, but
why are they making me wait so long for nothing?
It fades to the legendary Star-Lord will return. So Chris Pratt
but
will be
in
back.
what? Well, he's on Earth. He's going to appear in some sort of movie with someone else, is my guess.
Yeah. Do you think Chris Pratt resents this role at all?
Man, it's hard to say because there's part of him that like owes his mainstream success to this role.
Absolutely. And I think he attributes it to James Gunn as well. I saw some interview they were doing as part of the press tour, and I think
he was Andy before this.
Yeah, he bought James Gunn's wet engagement ring.
Oh, I did
for
hear
him.
this. Yeah,
and it was like, it's a small price to repay you for like
what
making my career.
Yeah,
but I would say like he's had to play
I imagine
some version.
all of them probably want to end, but the money's too good for some of them. Like and you know what? Some may have contracts with Marvel themselves, like you will appear in this many movies.
Yeah,
I bet you most, if not all of them, don't want to do anything after James Gunn. But I'm guaranteeing like Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel, Chris Pratt, I bet you they all have like 6 movie deals. Well, maybe at a while ago, like post Endgame, they're like, you have to appear in 4 more movies or something. You know what I mean? I guarantee that's part of their contract because there's no. And you know what? They probably they're like, no, Thor and Love and Thunder, we were in that one. There's one of them. You know what I mean? They're like, no, that counts. That counts.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like Taika Waititi's sly way of like helping them escape.
I guarantee there's part of I would refuse to believe that's not part of their contract. And sometimes I bet, like, I remember they said like for Robert Downey Jr., they're like, he has a 12 movie deal. And it's like, when you think about it, wow, but he probably appeared in 12 or more movies in 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Or 1 through 3, excuse me.
Yeah, I only ask because I feel like Chris Pratt has had to play a version of Star-Lord ever since. And
you're right. He's now typecasted as the Jurassic Park, I get what you mean.
Yep. And this is his best
version of that.
Version of it. Yeah.
This made me realize like, I used to love Chris Pratt. I don't remember exactly why I fell off the train of like the love, but I used to love him. Like he's really funny. I was watching a lot of the preseason press too of him and James Gunn, and man, the two of them together, they were just riffing. They were just having the time of their life.
I have my qualms with Chris Pratt, but he does good in this role. It's just, I don't know, like maybe
it's like a bard.
Goes back.
Man, this is such a D&D adventure. How did I never pick up on that?
It kind of goes back to like the James Gunn dialogue. It's just like 10 years later to see him still essentially doing like the kind of childish man baby thing of Star-Lord.
He's grown a bit though. He wasn't talking about womanizing in this one like he always does.
I don't remember the last two movies. So
He's always talking about his slutty
his exploits.
adventures.
Okay.
Yeah, his exploits, if you will. And this one, it was all about Gamora. I see the
character's
growth.
growing. Yeah.
I see the growth from
it's
them
there.
while keeping the humor. I get what you mean about the Drax and Mantis stuff. Some of it was very played out. But I think the endings were so strong that it just erased like any problems that I have. So we've covered Groot. We kind of covered Gamora. She's with the Ravagers this movie. I do like that she's like found a group of people, because like that group of people could have been the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? But there's something in human nature when someone's like, no, you're going to love this. You love, like, trust me. You're like, no, I don't at all.
Yeah.
No, I don't like any of you guys.
I did like that we got to see Sylvester Stallone come back.
There's
I don't know what
also,
that
this is
character's
such a
name
small, inconsequential thing. There is one of the Ravagers who uses Doctor Strange magic. And that's how they got all those powers.
The circles, I noticed.
Isn't that weird?
One of the Ravagers is played by Michael Rosenbaum, who, do you recognize the name?
Which one?
Yeah, the ice guy. Like,
Oh,
his head's
yeah. I can
okay,
picture
so
it. He's like made of crystal, it looks like.
yeah, well, I sent, maybe you didn't get the context. I sent you that tweet that was like, there's these rumors circulating of like someone from the Guardians cast has been approached about playing Lex Luthor.
I thought it was
and it was a picture of the ice guy. And that's because he played Lex Luthor in Smallville. And like, that would be the best version of that outcome. That would be really funny.
Oh, that is funny. Okay. Yes. Pete Davidson made a cameo.
Who was he?
He was in costume. You can't tell. He's like a stormtrooper guy, essentially.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thought that was, would you ever want a cameo like that? Like Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper.
Just go hang out for a day with like your friends. And Pete Davidson.
I would want my face in it. I'll be honest. Okay. Maybe I'm vain, or at least my voice. I don't know.
If it's good enough for Ted Lasso to be a stormtrooper in James Bond, I'm good with it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Maybe I'm too vain, I guess. I would want my face immortalized on there. Or like, I don't know, back of my head. Something. You can't tell any stormtrooper apart.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers in particular, because they have a voice emulator thing too. So it's just, I don't know,
One of the things I really liked about this movie, we sort of talked a little bit about this on a previous episode with Ashton about Andor. Like, it does.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's try to be casual.
You did it so well too. I'm so sorry.
We're recording this right after Star Wars Visions season 2,
great.
which will be weeks ago when this comes out. But there is this real, like, I'm sure there's plenty of green screen in this movie, but like there are sets constructed.
So
and
much practical.
It's a little more tactile. The stuff in Orgo Corp when they're in like that white room, the fight
looks
scenes are
great.
so much fun. Yeah.
None of the CGI in this felt off to me, and they're in space for all of the movie. Basically, it drove me nuts. I don't know if I texted you this because you probably hadn't seen it yet. All of the space CGI and visual effects looked better than the Shang-Chi bus scene. San Francisco was so green screened, in my opinion. It was so bad. It was so clear they were on a green screen stage when you could have just gone to San Francisco. You can't go to space.
Quantumanium is out on streaming as of like earlier this week. And so I just watched it a couple nights ago.
And the visual's terrible.
That you can tell they're running around like 100 square foot green screen area.
When they say run, they don't know how far the distance is, so they kind of do like a weird jog.
Yeah, that movie was bad.
Yeah.
Not as bad as Thor: Love and Thunder.
I agree.
Okay.
I think Thor was the worst, and Ant-Man was just next to it. With Ant-Man, the problem was it was like a Kang movie with serious time travel, existentialism, and then Ant-Man fart jokes with Darren. Like it just didn't. Although I do think Ant-Man maybe had one of my favorite MCU jokes, like ever. It was when Darren's dying and he goes, "At least I died an Avenger," and Ant-Man's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, yeah." That to me was that's top tier comedy. That was like, oh, that's funny as hell.
Yeah, I think Ant-Man movies only worked because of Paul Rudd's ability to deliver any
They needed
line,
to take
and
all
it's
the.
still
It shouldn't have been
funny.
Kang. It just
Yeah.
shouldn't have been
Well,
Kang.
okay, let's talk about Kang. I know we're getting off track here, but Kang.
Yeah, well, this is a MCU hot
This is a
button
big-
topic. I think he's
yes.
out. I think Jonathan Majors is
I
out. I'm not
imagine.
trying to allege anything one way or another because it does seem there's some ambiguity with it all. But
I imagine he's out. They're not.
I
Gonna,
think he's out. I think he's done.
They're not going to WB it. That's for
They
sure.
they literally end Ant-Man with 100,000 Jonathan Majors
Okay,
cheering like that.
This is what I wanted to talk about, though. Performance-wise, the main Kang in Quantumania, the performance is pretty solid. And
Yeah.
then when you get to whatever this Council of Kangs is at the end, and there's the three. First, it's the three that are talking to each other, and there's.
Yeah. Then there's more.
I imagine that's a tough creative challenge. It's like, okay, you got to do.
That was
a
what I was
bazillion different
excited about
variations.
for him, though. Was it was going
Yes.
to be like 10 roles in one, and we're going to really see his acting chops.
Yes.
Now
And
that he's
he
out,
brings-
can I give you my hot take?
Sure.
They should totally pivot from Kang. They should totally not scratch Kang
Multiverse,
Dynasty.
all of it.
They should go a different direction with it and just
Sure.
write Kang out. Don't bother with recasting, but they'll never do that.
I would agree with that. But like to see it being
You could still end with
executed in
Secret
the end
War.
in
Sorry.
the end credits scene where there's three Kangs,
Yeah.
all with different vocal affectations, and I was like, this is just goofy at this point. Like,
I kind of
Jonathan
enjoyed
Majors
it.
is like
That's
a pretty
part of,
good.
I always knew that was Kang's shtick, though. I knew that was coming. I guess was there are so many different versions of him that we are going to see a lot of some goofy, some more serious,
yeah,
some
the end
some
result
more
is that
savage.
it doesn't feel threatening to the level of Thanos. Like we don't, I also recently rewatched Doctor Strange 2. You don't see Benedict Cumberbatch doing silly voices. I don't know. I think the main King was an was a pretty solid performance for like Jonathan Majors is a good actor.
Yeah.
Maybe not
what
a good,
I've also
probably not a good
seen-
person, but
Tell me what you think about this. There's a way you just say the High Evolutionary is a Kang variant.
you could. But now that's a dead end.
He's alive. He's not dead.
I thought he died.
I think he's alive. Pretty sure he's alive.
They pull off his mask at the end as he's dying, right?
They didn't, but they specifically didn't kill him. They were like, no, that's not
Oh
what we
yeah,
do.
that's true. That is true.
They
That
just
was
pulled off his fucking face.
that was a great. I mean, I don't know how they accomplished. I'm sure some special effects were in effect.
It was
there, but-
amazing looking.
Great,
It's
yeah.
terrifying.
Also, the look of like I really liked that practical makeup of the look of like the stretched out face on top of
Yes,
the High
it looked
Evolutionaries.
so good. He looked terrifying, like he had been augmenting his body. I like the progression. So the only character we really haven't talked about, and it's a big part of the movie, is Rocket. So let's get into Rocket's story. I don't know if you want to go chronologically, movie chronologically.
I don't care. Where do you want to start?
High Evolutionary giveth life to a young raccoon, or gives sentience, I guess. He didn't give him life. He takes a raccoon. That's the first shot of the whole thing, is him grabbing this baby scared raccoon. It's terrifying with his hand coming in like that. And he makes it stand on two legs and makes it talk and think. And do you know the very first words Rocket said ever?
No.
Hurts. That's
Yeah.
that was his first word. They said, "What? Are you trying to say something?" Hurts.
Aw.
And I think Brett. Oh, you're such a hater. I'm gonna beat you up. You're so lucky you are so many states away. Okay. So I think Bradley Cooper, for not being like a regular voice actor, I think he's actually phenomenal. Is that a hot take?
What did he do? All the voicing for young?
No, you're gonna hate this. Sean Gunn does some of young Rocket.
Sean Gunn also does all the mocap for
Yes, for young
right?
Rocket.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought
He
for
does the
all
voice
of
in-
Rocket.
No. Oh, for all? Oh, maybe he does all. I don't know. He did some of the voice for young Rocket, and I think it's like I think he did like baby Rocket, and I think it eventually becomes Bradley when he's a bit older, when he's doing like the exercises with the High Evolutionary and whatnot.
Yeah.
But What do you think? Do you think Bradley Cooper, good voice actor, yay or nay?
He's always been great. He's unrecognizable as Rocket.
I saw a tweet of him at the premiere of it, and they were like, I think this is the first time Bradley Cooper has ever publicly acknowledged that he's in this movie.
In this movie, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he's never part. Man, I think that would be the sweet. Him and Vin Diesel have the sweetest Marvel gigs. Like,
they lucked out. And are you ready for this? They're so fucking popular. They're not ever going to get rid of them because they're so popular. They're everyone's favorites.
Endlessly
like, they have no
merchandisable,
reason to ditch them. They'll throw them on Earth before they ditch them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they'll go around with fucking Doctor Strange. Like,
and contractually, like, who cares if you got to do 12 more voice?
You can do that in a home
for
studio.
A couple days. Yeah, you can do that in a home studio.
Yeah,
man, that's the life. Okay, James Gunn. I know the Guardians Galaxy is maybe being sidelined for now, but if you need voice actors for the next one,
we're here,
baby. Two
dudes. We're here.
We're
two dudes are here. But so this is what makes it animation is Vin Diesel. Well, Vin Diesel, I've said this before. I refuse to believe that he's done any work since 2018.
Well, he has to because he did
say I love you guys.
I love you guys.
And he made $5 million or something. I don't know. But his is insane. Like, Bradley Cooper is working for that check. If you ask me, really working for it would be doing the mocap, but he's not. I'll get him.
Yeah.
But that's like, he's like, that's the gig. He's like, I want to only do the voice.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of like Sean Gunn and Linda Cardellini's in this movie, plays Lila.
Maybe the first person to play two characters in the MCU.
Oh, true. This is true.
I was totally fine with it though. I'm not one of those nerds who's like,
no, it's great, and she does. I also just
love Linda Cardellini.
I'm sure you do. But like you see pictures of her and Sean Gunn in the mocap suits, and I'm like, man, Bradley Cooper's just sitting pretty at home. He's so happy he doesn't have to do any of this shit.
He's living the dream, man. That's why we do this podcast. We revere voice actors, and I just genuinely think normally you get a celebrity voice actor person. Like, let's take the Mario movie. Besides Jack Black, no one was doing anything besides just their voice. Yeah. Bradley Cooper is acting his ass off in that booth. You know what I feel his emotions in every line he says.
I agree with that. I'm just glancing at the Wikipedia right now. Here's one for you. It's saying this movie came out April 22nd, 2023 as part of Phase 5. Are we on Phase 5 already?
It's the first of Phase 5.
So Quantumania was the end of...
Kang, that was the end of Phase 4. It was supposed to be a big epic moment. I know, you hate it. It was so bad. The slow slide into Phase 5 was scary. Yeah, it's not like an event.
I can't believe Phase 4 ended with Jonathan Majors doing silly voices.
I can't believe it ended with Jonathan Majors abusing people. Let's be honest. That's how it ended. Holy crap. But so, like I said, you leave that in Phase 4. Maybe... It's a weird ending to it. So this is
Phase 5, so we can't even rank this in all of...
Shut up. Yes, we can. There's a million Phase 4 projects. And I will say that's one thing is I think they're getting their timing a bit better. I haven't seen a Disney Plus show in sight for years, I feel like now.
Quantumania ends with a tease for Loki season 2?
It did. It's coming out in like October. I was really excited for Loki season 2, but partly that was because of Jonathan Majors. But Loki's one of my favorite. Like, I gave the Captain America boring answer earlier. Loki's actually my probably favorite character. Loki and Rocket. Those are my favorites.
Loki's probably my favorite Phase 4 project.
Oh, for sure. Oh, hands down. Loki was sick. Loki, we were talking about weeks ago on the Star Wars podcast. Loki left me being like, I need more. I need more.
I'll be interested to see where season 2 of that goes, because I'm sure it'll be more Kang, but
it will.
Maybe that doesn't leave room for season 3. That's why they teased it at the end. 3.
Because it's going to relate to Kang.
Apparently, the move is not to get involved with any superhero properties that involve time travel.
Oops. Okay, so Rocket, for all intents and purposes, Rocket's origin story is him beefing with God.
It's pretty badass.
It's bad. Yes, dude. He is taking on his own creator. What I love about it is I didn't care about any of the science mumbo jumbo where he's like, that felt concentration's too tight. You need to let it up and it'll do the... And I just loved how much it fucking ticked him off. And it was the whole premise for the movie, is he's like, I need creatures that can think on their own without me. So now I need to study that stupid fucking raccoon I hate. It's so good. It's so good.
Maybe it's because I don't remember much of the first movie, but I feel like they do, as early as the first one, make references to like Rocket's initial escape. Like, is that what he's in for initially?
Yeah. He's an escaped convict from the High Evolutionary. He's like the High Evolutionary's property is the fucked up part of the universe. Yeah, he's like a so but then he's a thief also. He stole a bunch of shit, and it's just so great. It's how he got his name, Rocket. It's all about his love for flying into the sky, because when you're a caged animal, that's what else do you dream of? Oh, I love when Floor is like, the sky, that's the sky. And they're like, no, idiot. That's just the top of the cage. Like, I just love watching these so innocent creatures like learn and like grow and come to love each other the way they do. God, everything about this movie was firing on all the cylinders for me.
Yeah. It
hit all my favorite tropes.
It almost feels so small scale that it like could have made a very compelling like TV miniseries or what. Like,
don't you dare.
I'm not arguing against it being bad. I'm just like that's the intimate feeling that this franchise ends on, which I think is a good.
Hawkeye Saves Christmas.
What?
That's what that was called. What?
It was called The Hawkeye Saves Christmas.
No, I give it. I refuse to call it anything but that, though.
Did you like that series?
I did, actually. That was actually one of the strong. That's like Loki, and then probably that of the Disney Plus shows. I know it caught me off guard because I was fully expecting to hate it, and I actually thought Haley did really well, and I thought it was way more fun than I could have guessed.
Okay, that's right. I haven't really gone back to revisit it.
Neither have I. Maybe I will during the holiday season if I need a heist.
Hawkeye, hey, cue up Hawkeye Saves Christmas and Renovations.
Oh my God, he's got an app, the Jeremy Renner app. Have you seen that?
I'm glad he's making a recovery. He's made a recovery.
Same.
What, get hit
Me
by
too.
A snowplow?
But so
man, he really was trying to save Christmas.
He saved Christmas. The whole movie was, is he going to make it home in time for Christmas? It's the perfect Marvel Christmas like thing. It really is.
Yeah.
It's great. And it was like, it didn't like play around that, if that makes sense. It just was matter of fact. Like, I gotta make it home in time for Christmas. Like,
It's a Christmas
it's
movie.
great.
All of the Rocket stuff is so great in this movie.
It's so compelling.
I was making minor nitpicks just for fun. This movie is solid. I know you commented on like the Nathan Fillion jokes. I thought those worked really well when I
thought he was great when he comes in to bust them, and they were like, I don't know, you just missed the whatever. And they're like, he's like, I got one of those guys too.
Yeah.
He's
And
like,
then they circle that back later in the movie where I think maybe he's talking to one of the Sovereign about Adam Warlock. He's like, I got one of those too. Like,
I have one of those on my
that is
team, too.
chef's kiss to me. Like, like the perfect amount of like little spice on that joke and bringing it back.
Well, it starts off with him being like, oh yeah, you guys heard of that new Glubnar or whatever? They're like, yeah. And he's like, well, I just made that up. So what are you talking about? Like such an aggressive intro to that, but that's where he's like, I fucking hate this guy.
Yes. I do appreciate that about James Gunn, is that he finds people he likes to work with, and he continues working with them.
Well, it's
Nathan
a big
Fillion
critique of his. His wife's in this movie.
Yes.
His brother's in this movie. And there's a lot of haters who are like, oh, when he casts his wife as Lois Lane, or when his brother is Clark Kent, like, he's not doing that. Like, also, one of the most revered directors of all time, Quentin Tarantino, always works with the same fucking actors. Christopher Nolan does the same thing. Who cares that it's his friends and family? Well, that it's his family. Like, they're not ruining these movies. If they were bad actors, that'd be one thing. But I actually think his wife's like a really good actor after Peacemaker.
Yeah. And
Maker. I always mix it up.
Peacemaker. Also, just like Nathan Fillion.
Well,
underrated star power
for such a minor role.
So much charisma.
He's a great actor.
He should have graduated beyond Castle by now. And I'm so glad he gets his moments to shine in Suicide Squad and this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that about
his
James
moment
Gunn.
in Community too, where he's the head janitor.
Yes.
He's
oh
great.
my God.
I love him.
What a great guy.
So Rocket to me is the best. Lila says it. She goes, "This story's always been about you. You didn't see it that way. It's, or she says you just didn't know it. It's so gut wrenching. This is a part where I'm fucking crying. He's like, "Can I come with you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, but not yet." Just let him come with you. That's all he wants.
That's all he wanted.
But he's got shit to do, and I love that he's the leader now. Makes sense.
It's nice. It's a night everyone gets their happy ending.
Let's talk other happy endings. I think we could probably do that. I've gushed over how much I love this movie enough. We'll start with Peter.
Okay.
He finally, they call it out a couple times in this movie. They're like, "Yeah, but you left your family on Earth after your mother died. You still had family there." And it's like, ooh, deep cut. They mentioned it a couple times. And I didn't think anything was going to come of this, if I'm being honest. And when he goes home and he sees his grandpa, and his grandpa says, "Peter," I sobbed. I didn't know it was coming. And the fact that his grandpa recognizes him 30 years later.
So what was his grandpa? You said his grandpa is in volume 2?
Flashes.
Okay. All right.
So if you remember, just taking you through 2, there's the flowers on all the planets, and then they end up consuming the planets. There's one on Earth, and we get flashes of it destroying like a Dairy Queen, and it's like taking over their hometown. So you get a couple flashes of him running away from that.
Okay. And so that's where Peter ends up eating a bowl of cereal in his breakfast nook.
What was everyone talking about? The guy mowing the lawn next door?
That's what I think that's what they're talking about while they're eating breakfast.
I saw people speculating on like who it could be. I was like, it's probably no one, guys. So okay, I didn't know if there was more I was missing to that or not.
No.
What did you think of this ending for him? Did you like? Was this expected? I'm curious. What did you think?
I guess it felt earned. I think all of them feel earned.
That's a good way to put it.
I don't particularly care for the Star-Lord character, so I was like, all right.
I
cool.
do. He's a space cowboy outlaw. It's cool.
Of the endings.
He's a space pirate. He's a space pirate.
Sure. Of the endings here, I think I cared about his the least. I would say that's just a credit to the rest of the characters. Well, I guess maybe
because I've
Mantis.
lost 3 grandparents in like 3 years, this scene maybe hit different for me, but I sobbed when he said Peter because I didn't expect him to recognize him. I expected him to be like, "Well, Grandpa, it's actually me." But he initiates it and goes, "Peter? Oh my God. He was holding out hope? No. Oh. It's great. So I get that from you, though. I know you've never actually been big on Star-Lord. Okay. Drax, we talked about Drax's ending.
Loved it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't even a B plot line, but it's like a C story throughout the whole thing. It's great.
I like that he
Drax
got his
the
moment where they say, "Why didn't you tell us you could speak to them?" And it's like, "You guys never asked." And so maybe that's the payoff to all of them bickering about him being dumb, making fun of him. It's just like, actually, I know this other language.
I know
He's a great
things.
dad, and
I'm more than the muscle, which is very
yes.
Dave Bautista like kind of story right now, which
Yeah.
I really enjoyed because I feel like James really respects Dave. Another person who has got their stardom from James Gunn, and I think James really
another
respects.
wrestler.
True.
Yeah.
I think James really respects and like did Drax justice for not being a main character by any means.
And personally, I'm just a sucker for the Florence and the Machine song "Dog Days Are Over."
You
So
can't tell me
when
this wasn't the perfect
It's the most
ending.
joyous moment. Yeah.
They're all dancing, and in 2, Gamora and Peter are doing the will they won't they still.
Yeah.
Drax comes up to him and gives him advice about, him and Gamora are not meant for each other. There are 2 types of people in the galaxy. People that dance and people that don't. And several times throughout this 1 and 2, Drax says dancing is for morons. And so to see him finally just...
Okay.
It is so good. The fact that they all end dancing together. And I was going to start the podcast. The very first thing I was going to say was the dog days are over, Evan.
Dog days are
It's
over.
it's the best ending to a Marvel movie, I think, ever, if I'm being honest.
Okay. No, I really liked it. I agree. I don't know if it's
I'm going for the hyperbole. I loved it. I was so emotional.
No, I agree. I love that song choice. Friend of the pod, Gary Gordon, one time played that song for like a full on day.
Over and over and over again.
But as torturous as it was, it's still one of the greatest songs of all time. It's just so celebratory. I honestly, when Rocket and Groot start dancing towards each other, I was like, please, dear God, give me a flash mob right now. Like, I would not have been mad at
They
that. Like,
all started dancing. They all joined in, though.
I know, but I wanted like full choreo.
You wanted a choreographed number?
Yeah.
No, this was so.
That would have been amazing. I wouldn't have been mad about that.
So did I send you the video of Florence reacting to it?
No.
Oh, I got it. She's crying. She's sobbing in theaters. She's like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. The dog days are over.
The dog days are over. Like I said, I think the easy way to end James Gunn trilogy is for them to just kill off Gamora, kill off Drax, give us the shocking Peter death. I will say that was one moment I thought they killed Peter, and I wish they kind of had at that moment. I could have done... fake death is not my favorite trope of all time. If you're going to kill someone, just do it.
Do all Guardians movies end with Peter almost freezing in space? I feel like that happens in almost all
Well, the first
of them.
one was the power crystal. They all end with him almost like obliterating himself.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is cool, actually, now that you say that. But I think that Gamora's ending, while not this big send-off, I think it's a perfect way to write her out of the MCU. It's so against the grain of what all of us expected, I feel like.
They did that super well in this movie is they wrote all of these characters off into the sunset for the most part.
Yes,
they're leaving the door open, but it's like
even though Rocket and Groot are still going to be in things, they just had their moment. Like the dog days are over. And what we haven't gotten into is this movie is very symbolic for James Gunn. He said it's a very personal movie. So I've been reading all the blogs and everything. James Gunn is Rocket, and the High Evolutionary is like Marvel and Disney. They are upset that he has created... Remember they fired him, and they rehired him for a whole thing, because they were like, we can't do it without you. And now that he's going to the DC, that he's officially leaving Marvel, this was his way of being like, you guys could never stand that I was the one creating, even though you guys created me. I was the one really putting out the art there. What a symbolic way to end, with him having a film of them all celebrating to the dog days are over for James Gunn. He's like, no more. I am my own boss now.
I like this interpretation. Where are you reading this from? There's
Twitter
vibes. Okay, no. I do like that, because I feel like I have been seeing tweets of like James Gunn has said in interviews or something that Kevin Feige
said it's a
would
deeply
send him
personal
scripts
movie
for almost everything, and he would give notes on like every other Marvel movie.
He gave notes on on all the important Marvel movies, he said, like all the ones that are tying things together. And he also, if you think about it, he's the first one to fully introduce the Infinity Stone narrative.
Yeah.
Like the stones were there, but he created the whole narrative from the Collector. He said he wrote it in like an hour. And he goes, it's their whole blueprint for everything after that.
And, after the Infinity Saga, the MCU has been lost.
Yeah. James Gunn had his hand silently at the wheel, I think. And like I said, the part of them getting upset that he created something, that they couldn't.
Okay, that gives me a more of an appreciation for this movie. Do we want to look at Letterboxd reviews at all? Or
Yeah, okay. Let's do that. Some Letterboxd reviews here. Oh, I just have huge Groot still up on my phone. More than buff. You go more buff
even
Groot.
buffer. Let's see. So I think I posed the question of its reception earlier. Let's see.
Yeah, you got Letterboxd on?
So this first one on Letterboxd, I'm seeing 5 stars. This is not a movie. This is a fucking apology letter from Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Okay. But I like the read that it's a middle finger to Kevin Feige.
Yeah. It just has the Marvel logo on it. I think you got to know some of the deeper story there. I think the whole firing and rehiring thing is context that, your average moviegoer probably doesn't have.
Yeah.
This was 4.5 stars. Makes Thor: Love and Thunder look like a preschooler made it.
I've also, so on the cruise, they had movies playing, and then Haley and I got sick the last couple nights, came down with a cold, so we watched every movie that was playing, and it was Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, and Wakanda Forever. So only one of those holds up, or ever did hold up at all. Real quick, the Rotten Tomatoes, I have pulled it up now. Tomato meter 82%, audience score 94%. So
that's
doing pretty well.
Insane. 94 for a post Endgame Marvel movie.
It's been rare. This one 4.5 stars. James Gunn 8. That he did.
Yes, he did. This says 3.5 stars.
Oh.
Come for the juvenile sarcasm, stay for the animal torture and the friendship. Fun movie.
Yes. I think that's, I mean, I would give it maybe 4 stars, but like, that's about my take. It's like the sort of juvenile banter. I think I'm content with as much as we've gotten the last couple of years with James Gunn.
All right. So you're upset about his juvenile dialogue. Let me counter with a 5-star review. There is no God. That's why I stepped in. Has to be one of the coldest lines in the MCU history.
Okay, yeah. High Evolutionary, one of the best villains.
That was fire. She goes, my God. And he goes off. There is no God.
More compelling than Kang in Quantumanium. Yeah.
I think you may, if you're going to go the Kang route still, you just say the High Evolutionary was a Kang variant and he's the new actor for a lot of Kangs.
Yeah. 4 stars. James Gunn turning in Marvel's best film since Infinity War, and then immediately dipping to go run the rival superhero film studio is super baller.
That's what I'm saying. It is such a mic drop moment. It is so badass for him to literally be like, oh, here you go, Marvel. Best movie you've had in years. Bye.
Yeah. You know what? That's the feeling you get at the end of this movie when Dog Days are over, are playing. They're each going their own separate ways. It's like that end of the movie freeze frame, and then they went off to college.
Yeah,
John's working at the local candy shop or whatever.
Oh, that is funny. Like, Gamora was voted most likely to go on a reality. Yeah,
yes, you get that sense of closure, which is something that is so rare.
Yeah.
And what I love is like you get that closure, and it's like not. You don't see a character walk off and then hear dun, 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 dun. It's like slowly fade in. It's like just let these people ride off into the sunset.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
And they didn't actually. Oh, I guess Mantis. Oh, we've left out Mantis in our whole review, which is a shame because Mantis is a great character. She's literally an empath. That's an empath. She cares so much for these people, and so much of the team is important that they care for each other. So I must say it is a big disservice we just left off Mantis. I think the actress is phenomenal also, but I can totally get what you mean. That some of the her and Drax back and forth felt repetitive, but it also is some pretty funny stuff.
It's funny. I think I'm just thinking very recently of the Christmas special.
Yeah. I mean, these Letterboxd reviews are great. You said you're giving it a 4 out of 5?
Yeah, I think that's where I land. 4 out of 5.
Well, I hate you. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5.
That's fine. I imagined you would. It's a very good movie. Superhero movie.
It doesn't feel like a superhero movie, and I think that's what's so great about it.
It just feels like a good sci-fi movie.
Feels like
which
a
I think
goddamn awesome sci-fi movie.
Thor 4 kind of wanted to be like a sci-fi fantasy adventure.
We keep talking about it, forcing me to think about it, and I just don't even want to.
Quantumanium wanted to be a cool sci-fi romp, and it just
and it wasn't.
didn't hit.
It wasn't.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's a good spot to wrap up. Do we have any
agree.
news? I don't know.
Nah, we're good. This is a bonus episode.
Yeah.
We good. No news for everyone.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining us. If you are loving the podcast and you're looking for extra ways to support us, we have a support the pod tab on our Snip feed link in all of our social media. If you don't worry. You are already supporting us in the best way possible just by listening. And speaking of listening, if you love this episode, you can listen to more on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow us at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both Instagram and TikTok. And don't forget to rate and review wherever you do listen. And thank you for joining us on this heartfelt, wonderful, wonderful journey. How often have you left a Marvel movie feeling this good? I would say probably, honestly, the other best one, and it is recent, is the My Name is T'Challa.
Yes.
But honestly, This was way more heartfelt, in my opinion.
I don't know.
The dog days are over, Evan.
I know, but the T'Challa send-off, that movie was so emotional for me. The way it started, the way it ended.
I didn't like the battle scene on the battleship.
I didn't
with
either.
Rihanna, where that part started to lose me. But other than that, I did think that movie was phenomenal. So that maybe I'm nitpicking. This great movie. I'm glad we got to cover it because I really think it was phenomenal.
Thanks for listening. Hey, give us a follow on TikTok. We're about to break 3,000 followers on TikTok. We're there.
Close.
Give us that follow. Send this pod to a friend.
Someone who loves Marvel movies, send this to them so they can listen
cartoons,
to it.
because we usually talk about cartoons. But that
this
will do
movie
it.
is 33% of the cast is animated, as you said.
That is true. This could be a flagship episode. I can still swap out the intro music.
We're playing all the intros at the start.
All right, that will do it for this bonus episode, or maybe episode of Two Dudes Watch. We will catch you next time.
Two dudes watch cartoons.